Hello, people of Osmosis. Welcome. I'm Kevin Barry. We will be getting started shortly. I'm sure I see folks trickling in. What is going on? Hello, Llama. I just see a llama emoji as your name, which is awesome. I didn't know you could do that. And Sonny's here. Hey, how's it going, Sonny?
Hey, doing well.
Well, the frontier is open.
Indeed, time to explore.
Yeah, indeed, time to explore. Don't forget your 6-shooter. Love the UI design is beautiful. So, folks, welcome to Osmosis Updates from the Lab. We have Guy today from Secret Labs, who should be here shortly, and perhaps we'll start out with some of those classic updates.
Sure. Yeah. Can you give me actually 2 minutes? Maybe.
Yeah. We can.
Cool.
So
maybe start with some more community governance stuff.
Yes, we can talk about some community governance stuff. So we have been discussing governance over the past, I think, 2 episodes. And I think that there's a lot that we've touched on that we don't have a resolution to yet. Namely, this concept of potentially a constitution or some kind of set of guidelines. We also have obviously had a big change in governance over the past week or so, which is that now proposals take 5 days in the voting period as opposed to 3, which has definitely changed things. I'm curious people's thoughts on the changing of the proposal time period. Do you think it's beneficial? Do you think it's helping, mitigate the kind of onslaught of proposals? If anybody has thoughts or wants to chime in, I am definitely curious about that. Also, in terms of, I'm going to just dip a little bit into teasing the Legendao NFT topic, because we'll be discussing that with Guy when he's here. There is this, they did just drop this project, I think it's called Kilroy, which is a feature film NFT, I guess the first feature film being sold as an NFT. It's a film by Kevin Smith, and I'm not even fully up to speed with it, but I would very much like to hear people's thoughts on that. To me, it's exciting from what I've seen for 2 reasons. I mean, one, being the first at doing this and diving in, he's definitely an indie filmmaker. He wrote and directed Clerks, the classic 90s indie film. But so that's cool. And I think it's the right type of, it's a good fit. Anyway, it's also exciting to me because he was talking about doing the second, like the sequel in the movie. I don't even know if the first one's, I don't think it's made yet, but I don't know. I have to learn more about that. But talking about sourcing the sequel from the content that people make with the intellectual property that they get by buying the NFTs for the first one. So it's a lofty concept, but the idea of involving other people contributing, like an anthology series of stories, is pretty. I think that's pretty spot on for what this community is about. All right, I've been going on quite a bit. Pardon me, Sonny. I'm just checking in. How's it looking?
We're good to go.
Okay, let's so without further ado, let's dip into some of those updates for Osmosis.
Cool. Sweet. Okay, so let's see. Where do we get started? Let's start with maybe some, okay, so about the Frontier page. So yeah, if people notice, the Frontier page is shipped and is live. Um, there is a lot of new assets being, a lot more tokens added. We've been able with the Frontier page, we're able to like add tokens much more quickly and like get them on. And so that includes, there's been a bunch of like tokens from Juno, like a bunch of CW20 tokens. And then also, as people may have noticed, the some bridged stable coins from two bridges have been added. So from Axelar and from Gravity Bridge. Both of those are live on the front end and on the Frontier site. And I think that what that means is it's going to be time for us to finally do this vote that has been uh, been sort of pushed back and back for a while. So we'll have that. We'll be putting the vote will be going up. I imagine definitely sometime in the next week. So get ready for that.
Nice.
Where, yeah. So that should be interesting and fun to see. Um, then yeah. So I recommend people try it out. Try out the two different currently live bridges and see which ones you like and like how they work and everything. Um, so yeah, then
Wait,
I guess. Mhm.
can I just quick pause? When did this? When did these Axelar and Gravity Bridge tokens drop?
I think they both dropped like sometime last week, late last week.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm seeing them, and it's very cool.
Cool. Um, yeah. So and that for the Axelar one, currently it goes to Satellite, which is their front end that they built. But there's also you keep in mind that for like whichever bridge gets selected, we'd be building a more native integration into Osmosis directly, into the front end site directly, rather than like directing to an external site. The external Directing to external sites is just the current way of integrating until like community chooses like the proper bridge, and then that way we can focus all of our like integration efforts on making sure that bridges integrations are well done.
Right. So this is a stopgap solution, and we'll eventually be able to select like a drop-down list on the regular Osmosis page.
Well, no, what it would be there would be one main. Sorry, this is not for the asset list. This is for yes, you're right. But I guess which one will be the default on the default list for
Ah,
Osmosis? Yeah,
right. The default bridged version of
yeah,
the asset is
and that's really
yet to
where
be
we're going to be
decided.
focusing a lot on our integrations. Like integrating with multiple bridges is it's more complicated the more bridges you integrate with, and so just having one easy to use one, like having a good solid integration with one, is what we're gonna focus on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to remember who tweeted it, but I saw somebody talking about how like if you use all the bridges at once, there's some aggregation of risk, or it's like
Mm-hmm.
there was, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Um, like I said, I think I mentioned this in a past updates. I think the community should pick what they think is the best one based off of their usage. But I think I can speak on behalf of the development team. I think our preference is Axelar, just from our experience with like testing out a lot of different things and working with the teams and stuff. So, but I think people should make their own decisions based off of trying out the tools themselves and seeing how they work, and just like researching them. The other Okay, so other things that are worth mentioning as well. on the front end related side is okay. There's a new landing page that is going to be up pretty soon. So the landing page is like what is at, I'm sure probably most people just have like app.osmosis.zone bookmarked because the osmosis.zone site currently hasn't changed from the launch where it's just a background with a nice little animation and you enter the lab. But we'll have a new site that has like more information, and it's like, if you ever need to explain to your friend like what the heck this osmosis thing is, hopefully, so we'll have a better landing site that has more information, links to more of the sort of resources like the info side and Commonwealth, and like it'll be like a good hub for like finding the important spots in like osmosis related things. So that should be ready to go. That's nearly ready to go and should be live pretty soon. Some on the chain side of things, there's some the work. The upgrade is taking a little bit longer, just because we're running into some issues with just like making certain things work with the stable swap. Basically, if anyone's interested, basically what we're doing is, so I don't know if anyone saw that math equation that I tweeted out couple last Friday, but that was we're using for stable swap. I think the most famous stable swap algorithm is probably the curve finance algorithm, um, and that's like the most well known one. But in our opinion, it's actually a little bit over complicated and like not really the best way to design it. Um, the curve algorithm, what it does is it kind of like takes two different AMM curves and it interpolates them. So it's like it uses the x times y equals k, and then it uses a straight line, and it like there's this complicated way of doing it basically. And we figured there's probably an easier way to do this. And so we really liked the design, the AMM design from the Solidly project. So it is also a stable swap algorithm. So Solidly was a project that Andre Cronier was working on before he mysteriously disappeared. But yeah, so their algorithm is much cleaner and simpler, or at least at the surface. But it's x basically instead of x times y equals k, the algorithm is x cubed y plus y cubed x equals k. And it ends up, you can go model it out, but it ends up being actually a pretty much nicer to use stable swap algorithm and easier to calculate. But then when you're reformatting it in different ways and like differentiating it, you get these like really ugly equations, which is okay. But one of the problems is in one of the equations we have to do like an x to the 12th power, and what happened was that causes some of our numbers to overflow, and so that's a problem where they're like overflow, for anyone who's not aware, is like when you store an integer on or a number in a computer, you have a maximum size of that number. And so what osmosis does is when you see that there's one U atom in the AMM, it's actually under the hood, it's actually treating that as like 1 billion like microatoms or something like that, some like very small, or like yeah, for every one atom you do, it's actually much larger number that's used in the AMM, and that's so we can have like better precision when doing math operations. And so the problem is with that amount of precision, and then when you do an x to the 12th, the number blows up and kind of exceeds the amount that the integer type can hold. And so we're just working on like how to solve for that issue right now. So that's why. So expect that that the stable swap, the upgrade might be like a week late, just because we're working around this issue right now and making sure it's like whatever solution we come up with is like properly tested and everything. So yeah, that's an update on the stable swap upgrade status.
Hey, Sonny.
Mhm.
So this is maybe kind of an overly simplified question, but uh, what is the stable swap going to be like when we interact with it? Is it just like part of the trade swap module, or is it a new thing? Pardon my stupidity.
Yeah. It will be just part of the normal trade swap module, and the pool would be the same. The it'll in the pools page it'll just have a label saying like, hey, by the way, this is a stable swap pool, so the algorithm it's using is different. Um, I guess like traders shouldn't really have to care. All they should care about is like, hey, we're getting better pricing, or less slippage on our trade. So that will be fully abstracted away for the traders. For LPs, they just have to be aware that like, hey, okay, this is providing less slippage to traders, so it'll be hopefully more volume. But it is, if any, when you're holding a stable swap, you're basically making a more confident bet that the two assets are correlated, and if they uncorrelate, as an LP, you're going to be taking on a lot more impermanence loss. Um, and so the point of a stable swap pool is you're making, by being an LP in there, you're saying that I think that like these two stable coins are going to stay correlated together to each other because they're both correlated to the dollar. So imagine you have like a USDC UST stable swap pool. So if one of those stable coins breaks, whether it's Circle runs away with everyone's money, or the UST protocol like ends up not functioning as expected, then and one of the stable coins just dies, then as the as an LP in that pool, you would suffer a lot more impermanence loss. But if you are relatively confident in the success of in the sustainability of the different stable coins, then being an LP in that pool is a good bet. Um, so yeah, that's what does
Okay.
that answer the question?
Yeah. That so ostensibly we'll just be swapping tokens using the trade module as
Yeah,
usual. We could go to directly to the pool to swap, um,
yeah,
but it for all intents and purposes, this is ostensibly under the hood, and then it's a new LP, a new liquidity pool to join and
yeah.
understand what the risks are.
Yep, exactly. Oh, and I guess one thing that will be different for LP is as well is, um, so Osmosis does already support multi-asset pools, uh, like balancer style, but they haven't really been used, and we've kind of for the most part discouraged them. And so most of the pools on Osmosis basically are all two asset pools. So, but swap is like sort of an exception where the multi asset pool makes a lot of sense. And so there we have, so you wouldn't, instead of having like bilateral pools for different stable assets, so you, instead of having like one pool for USDC to UST, and then a different pool for UST to Tether, and then a different pool for Tether to USDC, traditionally you put like multiple stable coins into the same uh, multi-asset pool. So what we can imagine, so on Curve Finance, the big one is called the three pool, which includes DAI, Tether, and USDC. Um, it, Although I don't know if anyone's been following the latest updates in Curve Wars. The there's a The four pool is now becoming the biggest one, which is a pool of USDC, Tether, UST, and Frax. But so it'll be interesting to see what becomes the dominant stable pool in Osmosis. Like, I imagine obviously UST and DC will probably most likely be part of that, but whether something like Tether would be part of that, or DAI, or Frax, or so I don't know. We'll see how that sort of plays out, and how I think really my suggestion would be Osmosis should sort of demand uh, similar to in Curve, like there should be like a decent amount of external incentives being put on to a pool, to a stable swap pool for Osmosis to put its own direct incentives on it as well, and to like kind of see which stable coins get Osmo incentives to like build up their liquidity.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Do we know the stables that are going to be in this multi-asset pool now?
So if you look at it, I believe both the Gravity team and the Axelar team both have created some stable swap pools already. I think the Gravity one includes, they're both on Frontier at the moment, but the Gravity one includes I think USDC, Tether, and DAI, while the um I think that's it. While I believe the Axelar one includes UST, USDC, and Frax. I want to say. To be honest, I'm actually not up to date. I haven't gotten a chance to check out the pools directly myself yet.
Okay, we'll explore. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. So people, check out Frontier and you can play around with the stuff. The pools that are live today might not necessarily be the ones that stick around. But yeah, it'll be. I think it'll become things will become a little bit more clear once the first bridge is once the bridge is selected, because that will eliminate one question, and then we can start to think about, okay, which are the stable assets we want to focus on. For me, I would say personally, I think the biggest focus should be primarily on UST and USDC, just because those are like one custodial like stable coin and one decentralized stable coin. And
Mm,
then keep in mind, there's also a lot more stable coins coming in the Cosmos ecosystem as well. So there's Run from the Agoric team. There's a project called Matrix, which is building a stablecoin directly on Osmosis, actually, or not directly on Osmosis, but they're building, to take advantage of a lot of Osmosis features. So yeah, there's a lot more stablecoins coming as well.
nice.
Um,
Did not.
so yeah, that's something to look into. Some other stuff, I guess. Other updates are the info site should be much speedier again. So I mentioned last week that we were doing a refactor of all the infrastructure that info site is like running on, and so it should now be much more usable and so yeah, check that out. It should load and not be like stuck on loading spinning images for uh 10 seconds anymore. And there's a lot of cool updates coming out to the info site this coming week. So I got a chance to play with them. There's this like cool calculator that's being added to it. So you can like calculate your projected APRs and stuff. Like it'll be like, oh, okay, if you bond this many tokens and like you do a 14-day bond, this is what your projected APR is for the next like 2 weeks or something like that. So check that out. That's going to be I'm excited for that. And I guess the last big thing worth mentioning is the grant site will be is live now, so you can go to grants.osmosis.zone, and there you can find information about the grants program that was approved by governance last week, as well as just find out more about the application form is there, and there should also be a list of like potential ideas of like things that like are you know things that are we'd love to give grants for, but also it doesn't have to be something from that list. It can also just be other things. Especially we're definitely looking for like new stuff being built on top of Osmosis. So if you're building like a utility for Osmosis somehow, like whether it's a you know a yield vault or something, or whether it's there's a team starting to build a dollar cost averaging protocol built on top of Osmosis. So something that's like you
Nice.
know yeah, really Osmosis is going to become this like sort of DeFi ecosystem chain, right? And so if you're interested in building anything like that on top of Osmosis, definitely, we would love to give grants for that.
That's great. I'm looking at it, and if you click on the request for proposals link that has the prayer hands, that's where they list a number of things that are being sought. That's at grants.osmosis.zone.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's the main updates I had.
Okay, well, that was pretty full updates. There's a lot. There. I'm excited for the stable swap. I do feel like that's a big utility, if you can use that adjective, big. And yeah, Frontier and the grants is huge. So I guess now we have Guy is here. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. From Secret Labs. Would this be a good time to bring Guy up?
I'm here, and yeah, guy is how you pronounce it, so that's accurate.
Perfect. Yeah, because I do. There's one guy who pronounces it Guy, and now I'm forever questioning. So
I was called Guy so many times in my life, so I respond to both.
okay, good to know. I may pull that out later on if things aren't going well, or whatever. I won't. I'll just call you. We'll stick with Guy. So welcome to Updates from the Lab.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You're co-founder of Secret Labs, one of an OG in Secret, and I think this is your first time on Updates.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed very much the conversation. We're examining our own bridge solutions as we speak, so that conversation about different bridges was fascinating.
Yes, it is. It's a little complicated, but we're working it out.
Understood. Same here.
So there's news from the Legendao NFT that is pretty exciting. I congratulate you on this coming release of the Kevin Smith project, and then also the Legend token. Yeah. So yeah, can you get us up to speed about that a bit? And
of course. So let me. I mean, I think most people know Secret, but just to give a very quick background.
Yes.
Secret Labs is essentially the company who built the Secret Network. We've been in the space for a long time. I've been on Sunny's, I guess, show 2 times to date. So hopefully, hopefully people have seen or know a bit about what we're doing at Secret Network. I mean, we're all part of the big Cosmos family, so I'm guessing people do know. But in the last year, we've been kind of interested in just building cool applications on Secret that could serve not just Secret, but the entire Cosmos ecosystem. And actually beyond that, like Cosmos, as I'm sure everyone on Osmosis know, and in large part, thanks to Osmosis, is growing very rapidly, but I'd say it's still lagging behind like other major ecosystems, and hopefully that's starting to change. And we realize the best way to resolve that is also for us, even though we're more of an infrastructure team, to actually start building applications that we think are cool and that are going to be useful and are going to attract people into Cosmos and obviously Secret in particularly. That's kind of like when we came with Legendao. And for those who don't know, Legendao is essentially the way we like to describe it is as this platform where DeFi meets NFT, and the idea is that it's a platform that the more you mint, the more you're gonna earn, and the way that it works is that each user starts with some kind of avatar, some kind of character. It's if any of you played World of Warcraft or anything like that, then it's very similar. you get your level 1 naked character, and the idea is that you can start minting. And the more you mint in the system, the more loot you get. You can use that loot to improve your character, but it's not just cosmetics, right? It's going to look cool, it's going to look nice. Eventually, maybe we can integrate that in metaverse applications, and you customize your character's look. But the really interesting part is that all of those things that you collect, all of those items that you put in your inventory, that you build on your character, they are actually going to have real benefits in the system. They're going to have benefits in the DeFi aspect of the system, primarily in staking. So, the higher level your character is, the better equipment that you have, the higher staking rewards you're going to get. So staking APR in Legendao is essentially non-linear. It's weighted by your character, not just by your stake. So we feel that's like an interesting design space to experiment with, and something that we are very, 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 very much in the platform. And then the other aspect of it is the NFT aspect. The NFT aspect is, we're trying to bring really quality stuff into Legendao. And the idea is that we think that people would like to actually build their characters, not just for the staking rewards, but also for the ability to get access to better mints and to better mints and to better and to better stuff. And the way that's going to work is, sorry, someone's calling me, and that's completely throwing me off. So one second, let me close
Totally
that.
fine. It happens.
Yeah, I know. So generally speaking, the idea on Legendao is that it's also an entire mint platform. And no offense to Osmosis, or maybe that's like the biggest compliment, but we call it a mint lab. So hopefully that's okay. And the idea is that we bring in a lot of partners to essentially do their minting, their NFT mints on top of Legendao. And there are only two conditions to mint on Legendao, two major conditions. One of them is you have to do something really unique. So, for example, as you mentioned, we just brought Kevin Smith, which I'm a big fan of, and probably most people know him. He's a very well-known director and actor, and he's releasing his new film as an NFT. And that the way that it's going to work is going to be a collection on Legendao that you can mint. Anyone who mints the NFT gets a generative art piece, which is the main villain from the movie, but also gets the movie itself and first access to that movie. So that to us, for example, is something that's really, really cool. And the other aspect is that you have to use secret NFTs in some form or another. So to people who don't know, secret NFTs, basically NFTs on secret network, they benefit from the privacy aspect. You can have part of your NFT public, whatever you want, but you can also have encrypted private metadata that only the owner can see. So for example, with distributing something like a movie, you can make sure that only the people who buy the NFTs actually get access to that movie, or first access to that movie as part of their NFT. So those are the two conditions to mint on Legendao, and essentially anything that's being minted on the platform is going to have that kind of vibrant. And on the other aspect is, again, those who kind of play the game, develop their characters, do more stuff, would get bigger and better benefits. So they're going to get higher staking rewards. They're going to get higher probability of getting rarer pieces in their mints. They're going to get initial whitelist spots or discounts to upcoming mints and so forth. That's kind of the main idea behind the platform.
Okay, that definitely does help to kind of flesh out this gamified DeFi platform. Thank you. I'm sure we will have some questions from folks. I did also have a question for you a little bit, because I think you had the right instinct to explain Secret Labs a bit in the beginning, but could you kind of paint out the picture of how this fits in the bigger, what Secret is about, how this fits into the bigger picture of, secret networks? And I'm curious about this. I know that like you worked on Enigma, and there was something about that I haven't learned about. But is there any way you could like clarify it for us noobs?
Sure. So I guess a very, very brief, very brief history recap. Yeah, I came, so Secret essentially is this idea of a blockchain, for those who don't know, with privacy preserving smart contracts. That's like its call to fame. That's like the main innovation that it brings to the table. It started out as the Enigma project back in like 2015. It was basically my graduate thesis when I was a graduate student at MIT. And then it turned into Enigma, the company. Initially, we thought about doing it as a layer 2 to Ethereum. That ended up being a very, very bad idea. I got really fascinated about Cosmos in 2019. So truth be told, I was very, very skeptical about Cosmos in 2016, I think, when the ICO happened. I honestly didn't read enough about it to understand back then, my mistake and my loss. And then in 2019, I got like to re-review it, mostly from a technical perspective. I read through the Tendermint paper and better understood it. And then I talked to some people from the Cosmos team. And we realized at that point that we should be doing a layer 1. It's not going to work. Like layer 2, doing a layer 2 for Ethereum is not going to work. And honestly, Cosmos, even though Cosmos, like the SDK was in its very early days, it was a clear winner. So we said, okay, we're just gonna move to that. And then we're like, okay, but there's no real runtime. And then we saw that Cosmos was kind of like in its very initial alpha version. So our team like dug deep into Cosmos, and one of our engineers actually became for a time became a co-contributor to Cosmos, and very, very initially, like when we launched the genesis of Secret Network, we still called it the Enigma blockchain, and the company, we called it Enigma. But then over time, we're like, okay, this is quite different. We need a better, more cohesive branding. So we decided, as a network, actually, this was a network vote, to rebrand Enigma blockchain to Secret Network in, I think it was mid 2020. And then like 6 months ago, people were like extremely confused because we kept calling ourselves Enigma the company, and then there's Secret Network, and OGs remembered Enigma, but didn't really understand the connection between Enigma to Secret Network. And the connection is simple, like we're the core development team. And new people, they just knew Secret. So again, Enigma was confusing. So they're like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Let's rebrand the company now and call it Secret Labs. That's kind of like
it's clear. It now makes sense. It was a name change, and it's definitely what the privacy preserving blockchain makes total sense. And now I see it that Secret Labs is kind of like Osmosis Labs. It's the development wing of the broader network.
Exactly.
Sonny, do you have any questions or thoughts about? You've talked to Guy many times. There, I did it.
Yeah. So I guess, Guy, how do you see like sort of the Osmosis community getting involved with the project?
First and foremost, very initially, there's a lot of projects are doing airdrops right now. Cosmos projects are doing airdrops to other Cosmos projects to kind of like kickstart the community. And I think it's a very, very nice way to also connect the different Cosmos communities together, because the whole idea in Cosmos is, we're like one big community of blockchains. And so you tell me, but from what we've seen, it seems that everyone airdrops to their, like, let's say, parent chain, and obviously we're airdropping to Secret, and we are airdropping to Luna as well, because we have very strong connections with Luna, and we're doing a lot of stuff together, and our community is very well integrated. But we wanted to cross-pollinate with other Cosmos ecosystems as well, and we decided that we're only going to choose one. And we were honestly very, very openly debating, like, should we try to get closer to the, I guess, original, let's say, Atom community, or like the original Cosmos community, the Cosmos Hub, which is great. We're very close with them as well. But it seems that right now there's a lot more connection between Legendao and what we're doing recently with the Osmosis community. And we basically made the choice that we wanna create a stronger tie between Secret and Osmosis, between Legendao and Osmosis, and decided to airdrop to Osmosis people. So again, there's a tweet right now, which I think was also retweeted by you guys on the Legendao page, talking about how to be eligible to the airdrop as an Osmo holder. Essentially, you're gonna have to be staked, or you're gonna have to be LPing for the Osmo secret pair to be eligible. And also you need to kind of like join Legendao community, the Discord and Twitter. If you do that, then you're gonna be eligible for the airdrop when that comes to be. And just so that people are clear, like this is coming up very soon, like we're talking weeks. So that's like one direction to kind of get the Osmos community to actually get the skin in the game and actually start playing in Legendao and doing stuff on Legendao. I think the other way that the other few ideas that we had, and honestly, this is something that we'd like feedback from the Osmosis community, is we're planning to do an LBP. We've never done an LBP before. This will be our first time, but we really like the way Stargaze did it. And by the way, if people have feedback on that, either jump on stage here and I would love to hear the opinion, or contact me later on. This is very experimental to us, but we want to try a different kind of LBP. We want to try a dual pool LBP on Osmosis. And what that means is basically we want to start an LBP between Legend and Osmo, and we want to start an LBP between Legend and Secret. And we want to start those at the same time. And what we're curious about, or kind of predicting, is that this would create a lot of arbitrage opportunities between the two LBP pools, and that could actually lead to a lot more liquidity inside of that liquidity event. So we're kind of curious on how that would play out. And Sunny, do you want to say something?
No, I just that would be really cool to see, because I don't think anyone's ever done that before, and so it's cool.
Yeah, so that's the plan. I got mixed reviews about it, but we're gonna go with it. And the third thing that we would love to explore is, again, the idea of Legendao is to bring cool memes to the Cosmos ecosystem. And we would love to see things from the Osmosis community that are being launched from Osmo into Legendao. Again, it's meant to leverage secret NFT technology, and it's meant to be a cool experience that users have fun doing, but it's very much meant to be in the spirit of what I think Osmosis is, which is inclusive to every other chain in the Cosmos ecosystem.
Cool.
One of my questions, Guy, is when you say cool, are you saying cool mints or cool memes?
Now, cool means like, let's say like one extremely cool idea would be, and I'm not trying to put ideas in your head, but like if something that we think would be really interesting is like to have like an Osmosis branded NFT mint launch on Legendao, where like the secret component is actually some kind of APR booster, like a booster pack for like 30 days, where you can get like extra APR for that pool, something like that.
Okay, that's cool, and I think that could also be a meme.
That could also be a meme, yeah.
I really. Wow, yeah, and then so yeah, what are some of the like ways that you think that like what are some like cool things that you can do with NFTs on Secret Network that you couldn't do with like NFTs elsewhere?
So I think both the example with Quentin Tarantino and the example with Kevin Smith right now are good examples. With Quentin Tarantino, what we did is he took the original screenplay of Pulp Fiction and we digitized that and turned it into NFTs, including like, a recording of him. And all of that was put in the private metadata part, the private part of the NFT. So the idea is that the only people who get access to it are the people who actually own the NFT. And with Tarantino specifically, like he said that he wouldn't do it with regular NFTs because if he uploads it, and NFTs are meant to be like owned, but anyone can copy that content, and that's not interesting to him. Like this is something that he kept private for 3 decades, and he's like, if I'm revealing it, I wanna give real value to an owner. So that couldn't be done with regular NFTs.
It's like that Wu-Tang album that they like, you if you own it, but you like want. I think Pleaser DAO bought it, but then you have to like, twice a year they'll let people fly in to listen to it in like a locked room, but that's it. But it's like now we can do that like on the blockchain, kind of.
Exactly, and I think that's where we're going with the Kevin Smith one, where he's basically hiding his new film inside of the NFT collection. So anyone who gets a piece of the NFT collection would get it. Now, sure, people can pirate it after the fact, but the first owners are going to see it, and piracy exists with Netflix and all that, and people still use it. But at least it's like it's decentralized. Like anyone who tried to like distribute content like movies or the Wu-Tang album or like music and all that, like to me it's like honestly just crap, because the way that it works is that you buy an NFT and then there's someone's server who actually owns and holds the content, and you show them that you own the NFT, and then they give you access to it on their servers. And I'm like, this is useless. This is pay-per-view. It's been done thousands of times, like, and you don't need NFTs for that. So to me, that doesn't actually make NFTs more useful, more interesting. Quite the opposite. So those things are really bullish on Secret Network.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, actually.
So,
I believe that
yeah.
Intel SGXs were like actually one of the initial use cases that was like come up with for them was for DRM of software. But do you think that like this kind of like NFTs with like media content attached to them is like the future of like DRM?
Oh, that's a charged subject, because I think DRM was used in just. I think DRM is an interesting technology, but it was used in the wrong way so many times. So it's like hard for me to kind of like align with that. But spiritually speaking, I think that we can see things like decentralized Netflix or decentralized Spotify that kind of like change the model where today where you stream content, then you basically buy the viewing license to just view it on like Netflix servers or Amazon servers. Here you can actually buy something, get ownership of it, view it, and then resell it. So you kind of like participating in the business per se. and then we can start to experiment in other models of ownership. So, for example, with Kevin Smith, one of the things we want to do is want people to see the movie, own it, and then think of ways to actually become part owners in the franchise, and then suggest ideas on how to like do sequels, right, or derivative art based on the movie. So I think that's the future. I think the fact that this allows you to kind of like create a more expand the design space on how content can be distributed that way and viewed, and yes, somewhat protected, which is slightly akin to DRM, but not used in the way DRM was used. I think that's the future.
Cool.
Wait, so guys, so people who want to see Kevin Smith's movie, they have to either fly in to Martin Shkreli's place or whoever owns the NFT, or they can buy, like, it's resold and they can buy it, but there's not going to be like a theatrical release unless somebody who owns the NFT owns a theater or rents it out. Or
our plan probably would be that like anyone who buys an NFT in the collection, there's going to be 5,000 pieces launched on Legendao. They're going to get access to the movie immediately. Then there would be some kind of virtual screening for holders of the NFT as well, where Kevin Smith participates and probably the cast. And we're also going to do a physical screening, but again, it's going to be for holders or some portion of the holders only. And that's what's going to happen right now. And then owners could actually be able to, as owners, like start to think about derivative art and like future work based on that. That's really going to be community governed and assisted by Kevin and his production team. So it's hard to kind of say how that evolves.
right.
I think in some time in the future, like the movie is going to be released for a theatrical release. Technically, we own the rights, so we can actually then like sell it to Netflix and then give some benefits to holders. But we don't know yet. Like we're not planning for that. We're planning for the NFT release, and that's the only thing planned right now.
So wait, so if it's sold to Netflix, everyone who holds one of the 5,555 NFTs, they split the whatever profit of that sale, or
if it were up to me, like if this was a purely technical community decision, the answer would be 100% yes. I also think, unfortunately, that there are some legal aspects to these things, when it's like royalty sharing and all that. So the answer is I don't know.
that's fair. Yeah, if I was Kevin Smith, I would be like, I want a chunk of that, or yeah, there's a, but this is exciting.
No. Kevin Smith is 100% the same. Would say the same thing I did without the legal aspect. He'd say, yeah, I want maybe we want some royalties because we produce this and we're helping
Right.
and we'll help push this. But 100% he'd say share the spoils with like the people who hold the NFT.
Right. But to your point, because of being a creator, he collects royalties on the sales that are made. So he's already does have a piece. So I guess that's different. Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting, definitely, it's like you said, kind of have to see how people engage with the content, and the ownership.
And I think that's a big part of what Legendao tries to be. Basically, every project that we're selecting, and by the way, a big part of it is going to be just community governed. So, like, the idea is that over time, more and more decisions on what gets to mint on Legendao would be done by the holders who vote on like what they want and what they don't want, and at what terms. But a big part about Legendao and the philosophy is that let's expand the design space. Let's make NFTs more interesting.
Now you said the avatar that's minted for Legendao comes out naked. Are we talking literally?
I think we'll share some examples soon, but it would be like you won't see any private parts if that's what you're asking.
Okay, I guess that would be another project. Okay, cool.
Yeah. One thing to mention, because actually that's a question we got we got a few times. I think that's a good place to mention it. So the way what we plan for Legendao right now, and I think putting like timelines on this would help people understand. So Legendao first collection is actually not Kevin Smith. The first collection for Legendao is gonna be the Council of Guild. Council of Guild collection. Essentially, it's like the Senate of the characters in Legendao. These are we took the concept. I'm not gonna get into the law. We took the concept that cryptids are a hidden society in our planet, and they are very interested in Web3 and the blockchain and the secret and in Cosmos, and they want to help that movement. And they're now coming out in hiding, and basically each one of you can get their own cryptid. And the Council of Guild is essentially the Senate, the governing body of it. So that's the first, let's say, mint. And it's meant to be kind of like the OG mint, like the Bored Apes of Legendao, maybe Secret, maybe Cosmos, but definitely for Legendao. And the idea is that if you get a Council of Guild like NFT, then that's going to give you a lot of benefits in Legendao later on. So that's actually going to give you like an avatar, a character, which is basically that naked level 1 3D version of the character in Legendao that you're going to be able to play and level up. But these two are separate, right? Like anyone who wants to use Legendao will be able to get an avatar or a character, and that's going to be out in a few months. But anyone who gets like a Council of Guild NFT right now is then going to get that avatar for free. But these two are disconnected later on. But owning a Council of Guild member would give you a lot more benefits. So I think one of the cooler benefits is that it's going to give you like some cosmetic piece, like wings or like a cape. That would also give you a staking percentage boost. So you're going to get a base boost to your APR on Legendao that no one else can get, and only the people who buy like the collection now or later on in secondary will be able to get. So that's the first mint, and that's happening. It's going to happen in 2 phases. It's going to get pre-Legendao launch on April 21st, which is like in a week. And then Legendao LBP, which we discussed, is going to happen on Osmosis early May. So we're talking a few weeks from now. Then after the LBP, there's going to be Council of Guild version 2, season 2, immediately. And then let's say sometime around end of May, early June, you can expect the Kevin Smith drop to happen on the Legendao platform. That's kind of like the immediate timeline. I think it's important for people to understand that. Just mention that.
Shall we take questions?
Yeah. Dickenzie, you've been up here for a while.
Welcome, Dickenzie. Do you have a question? I see Travis here. I'm going to just add one more person.
Yeah, sorry. My son must have hit this request. Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's family. So Travis, do you have a question?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome,
so
Travis.
I find it really curious that Guy or the secret team is talking about the creative process, how to market that, and how to. I find it really interesting that you guys are talking about strategy of creative contents for NFT when I'm looking at more opportunities, like especially with the Osmos ecosystem having its tunneling abilities with the IBC, that there doesn't seem to be anybody that seems to be working on kind of undoing OpenSea. Meaning, how do we create an NFT marketplace without there being a marketplace like NFT in the future? Like what OpenSea is doing is they're monopolizing everything. So with using IBC, I mean that I think is like really the raw strength of Cosmos ecosystem that nobody has yet. And I mean, it's a very powerful proposition to build from IBC to create an infrastructure for NFT marketplace in some sort of a DAO format, and then let the creators come in and do their strategizing and marketing. But again, I don't see anything or anybody working on that kind of venue. Maybe it's not possible. I'm not a technologist myself, so maybe that's not possible yet.
Yeah, so I'm not like there's a bunch of like NFT marketplaces on Secret and on Cosmos.
Yeah.
Like on Secret there's Stash, there's Stargaze, there's so many. So like maybe I'm not following the question.
Yeah, well, like, so I'm looking at, like, for example, on Solana, there's the entity, I guess it's based from Solana. They have a thing called Multiplex, and they offer grants and things like that, but it's, again, specifically to Solana ecosystem. And when I was listening to Do Kwon and Emin talk on Twitter yesterday, they're talking specifically partnership strategies, and they're kind of patting themselves in the back of like, oh, let's strengthen our bond, da 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 da. But again, like, we're not looking at a, I guess, whole blockchain space. Whether they promote bridge or what I call tunneling, which is IBC. Like, if we could work on, or maybe somebody could work on creating a infrastructure technology that could host all these disparate. I guess what I'm thinking is like a Thor chain, but for NFT. Like it's an inter NFT blockchain. Is there?
So yeah,
like
so
a
you should check
meta.
out Stargaze for sure. So I know the Stargaze team is working on a sort of IBC for NFTs. So ICS protocols, interchain standards, and currently the most well-used one, and really the only production one. Well, actually, no, there's two production ones now. There's token transfers and interchain accounts. But I know the Stargaze team is sort of leading a lot of efforts on, and there might be some other teams as well working on it as well, but on the inter NFT protocol that allows you to transfer NFTs. So that way you can sort of you'd be able to take the NFT that you minted on Secret Network and put it on auction on Stargaze, for example. Or you could bring it into Osmosis and maybe eventually use it as collateral on Isotonic. I think we're going to have like more. I definitely think NFTs are going to start to go cross chain for sure. And then I guess like one thing about like the whole OpenSea monopolization is I think what's going to end up happening, to be honest, long term, is that like NFT marketplaces will have to become more specialized, like because OpenSea tries to do a lot of things at once, but I think like NFTs is such a broad category of things that you're going to have like specialized markets that are for, music NFTs, different ones for art NFTs, different ones for, financial product NFTs, and like, or domain names, right? Like there's all these different types of NFTs, and having, I think like a generalized market for trying to fit everything is not what's going to really win in the end compared to like these more specialized marketplaces being built.
Does that answer your question, Travis? I mean, I know it doesn't satisfy.
It does. Thanks, Sonny. I guess I'm thinking of NFT as even bigger than what Sonny just described. I like when I discovered NFT, I think it was like 2017. When I read like obviously we had just had a recent NFT kind of going mainstream and everybody hearing about monkeys and apes and all that stuff. But I mean, we're still early with this 721 technology, and there's like many evolutions of NFT protocols that are being developed specifically with the gaming industry, right? Because they need more modularities and more flexibilities and how to kind of extend that protocol. So I think we're really early, and I really think of NFT as way bigger than what most people kind of are framing it as. I mean, because it's got to connect to the physical asset systems as well. And so I guess I'm kind of currently focused on looking for infrastructure developments, and I just don't see it yet. And maybe I'm not looking hard enough.
Yeah, well, I think looking at Stargaze, like Sonny said, and
yeah. So just to close the loop, I think the biggest problem in Cosmos, and I think that's probably the biggest motivation of Legendao, is we're seeing more and more. We're seeing more and more NFT marketplaces pop up on Cosmos. But if you look at Cosmos NFTs, and there's been great projects, they get like a fraction of the demand compared to like Solana, Ethereum, all of that. We need to suck like that interest into Cosmos and bring more people into Cosmos. And the idea is kind of to do that with Legendao, but the idea is not to have Legendao as like the marketplace or secret as the only place for NFTs. In fact, the idea in Legendao is that the idea is to get the talent in, get the users in, and then you'd be able to, using IBC, exit and take all of any NFT that you have on a platform to any marketplace on other IBC chain, right? It can be on Stash, but it can be on Stargaze, or it could be on Omniflix, or it could be on Terra, or it could be on anyone. So that's kind of like the idea, or the way that we see things. And we've actually funded, we as Secret Labs, we funded a company building an NFT bridge, and we are talking to XLR and a few others who seem to have already resolved that, not on the Cosmos ecosystem because they're waiting for IBC, but then our team is also working on, contract to contract IBC calls, which I think will be ready in a few months. So like all of that, like putting all of those rails are in the works right now. And this is like a problem that's going to be resolved in 2022. This is not something that's going to be resolved in the far ahead future.
I mean, I think, Travis, to your point, that the idea of, I guess, an Uber marketplace, or like a place where all NFTs can be pooled from all these different chains, there is probably benefit to that. I assume. I haven't gamed it out totally, but I can see how that, I don't know, the interacting of NFTs could make a lot of sense. But Guy's point makes also makes a strong sense. And the filter, the conditions he was talking about, how you have to do something very unique. And what was the other filter condition for minting something on Legendao?
Secret NFT and doing something cool, something interesting.
Right. So it has to leverage the secret or privacy function and the uniqueness. I mean, it's good to have like the platforms, because it's so wide open, to have an angle or point of view on which part of this huge NFT landscape you're going to focus on. So.
Cool. Any more questions from the audience? Cool. Okay. Well, I guess otherwise, I see the Omniflix team is there as well. So I know they're working on a lot of cool NFT stuff as well. So check them out too. Got a couple people up.
Oh, Omniflix is here. Here we go.
Can you guys see me?
Yes, welcome.
Hey, thank you guys for having us here. And great discussion, Guy. Like we were just talking to your team member in another space just a while back, and a great curation angle to what you're bringing to Secret and with Legendao. My question.
Thanks.
My question was, Sunny, just around the LBP V2 that we discussed last week.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were thinking of, we have already designed a page which is completely sovereign in nature. And, we were thinking of multiple cases. The assumption was that, Osmosis would not want to integrate, you know, a UI that's developed by anyone other than the Osmosis team into the Osmosis app.osmosis.zone application. And hence, we took the route of building a page or an interface which is completely sovereign. So right from start to end. So even if someone doesn't have any asset on Osmosis, they can have Atom on their Cosmos account, and in a 3-step process, complete the entire process. So, do you think that would be a much more that more possible to be worked on, or do you think it should be done differently? What are your thoughts on that?
No. Yeah, I think that sounds great. Sorry, I know you messaged me this week, but I didn't get a chance to reply. Let's talk about it offline, and then we should just jump on a call just to talk through it. But yeah, I think this is definitely really awesome that you guys are interested in leading this effort.
Definitely, always. Thank you, Sunny. We'll talk about it after.
Cool. PG.
Hey, so I saw today actually that Osmosis is planning on leveraging Interchain security. Wanted to, one, see if that's actually true, and then two, can you kind of explain how that would work and benefit Osmo?
Yeah, sure. So when I say we're planning on leveraging Interchain security, Interchain security has a couple of different stages to it. And so there's the V1. I forgot what the exact numbers are. It's changed around a couple times. Basically, the first version is fully replicated security, where you, instead of having your own validator set and staking system, a chain would use the Cosmos Hub's full system, like security. And that's obviously not what Osmosis would do at this point, because we have a relatively very high secure chain, and we already have our own staking system and validator set and everything. What Osmosis would be more interested in doing is, when the later versions come out, I think either V2 or V3, I think it's V3, which is joint shared security, where it's like it would still be the Osmosis stakers that are staking the thing, but the security will be augmented, where stakers of Atom on the Cosmos Hub would also be able to contribute to the security of the Cosmos of Osmosis as well. And so that will just basically help to increase the security of Osmosis, and just provide more, make it so we can onboard more assets, and just it'll just in general be good for the security of the system. So it's not so if and when Osmosis switches to shared security, it wouldn't be something that replaces normal Osmo staking today.
Cool, that covers what I was looking for. Thank you.
Asset Mantle reached out. Can we field the question from them?
Yeah.
See, you're connecting. Sunny, there were some questions from Reddit. One of them was about the timeline and expected launch of ETH integration. I'm assuming that follows the bridge voting.
Yep.
And what was the other question? This was someone. It was a question about there being a lot of. Oh wait, is Asset Mantle in there? No. Okay. Well, we're waiting. There was a question of there's a lot of sell pressure. This is from Calculated Luck on Reddit. There's a lot of sell pressure for Osmo because of the high inflation daily rewards paid out in Osmo. Which people regularly swap for the coins? What plans are there to bring more demand utility to Osmo and relieve sell pressure? That was a big question, but.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One is, the first third inning is actually going to be coming pretty soon, in 2 months. So that will decrease the Osmo inflation and issuance. So that should definitely sort of help reduce some of that sell pressure for sure. It's similar to like the Bitcoin halving, I guess. And then the other would, otherwise, just putting more, sort of getting more people to like stake Osmo. There could be potential ways where we can make it, we can make it, there's ways we can make it potentially where instead of people like selling Osmo to like compound their like liquidity, so one of the things, an idea that we had early on in Osmosis, but we just like deprioritized because of time constraints, and in general, I guess, one of the philosophies of the development team is like, we don't follow short-term price movement. Our vision, our mission has always been like, build the best product and the market will reward the best products. And so that's why we, if whenever we're given an option, like, okay, do we do something to, play with the tokenomics, or should we just be shipping new features and that bring more users and volume to Osmosis? We've always erred on the second, but ideas that we could do potentially is things like you can make it so Osmo is rewards are automatically staked, and then you can convert them into liquidity by bringing in more assets. So instead of people selling Osmo rewards to add more liquidity, it would be an incentive for people to bring in more and more liquidity to Osmosis to pair with their rewards. So that's like one thing that we could do. And like, if it turns into an issue, I mean, part of a lot of the downward price movement this month has just been because of the market as a whole.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we see this to be a longer term issue, we can try exploring some of those remedies. But for now, I think it's more fruitful to be focused on, shipping, stableswap, ETH integration, leverage, and just building up the CosmWasm ecosystem on top of Osmosis.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you've been shipping a lot, and I think it sets the tone well. Just staying focused on the main task of building the best product. At least that's what I like. I think Asset Mantle is not. No, I see you're listening, but you no longer have the request to speak. We have Alp. Can we do one or two more? Alp, are you there?
Hey.
I see Alp is connecting. I'm having some errors here. It might not be anyone's fault, but okay.
Alp, you have a question?
It looks like we might be having maybe it's an Amazon Web Services issue here, but Alp, if you can turn your mic on, we're here to take your question.
All right,
or anyone who's
go on to Asset Mantle.
Yeah, Asset Mantle. We got you up here. If you have a question, please chime in.
Hey, Kevin and Sunny, thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah, have been trying to connect with Osmosis team as well. We kind of have got very novel use case around interchain NFTs, since the inter NFT standard have been built, and was also been into adoption at Asset Mantle framework as well. So would be happy to discuss around it and see the possibilities to have Osmo integrations around it if you guys are up for it. And since we are nearing our mainnet launch, probably next week, definitely would love to see if we can, kind of have a chat around it to look at the possibilities for it.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely would love to talk about that. Yeah, I forgot you guys were actually the ones who kicked off the whole Inter NFT initiative in the first place. So thank you for that. And yeah, we would love to incorporate Inter NFT stuff into Osmosis and sort of definitely make sure Osmosis is a hub for the use of NFTs in DeFi. You know, we're really focused on like DeFi stuff, and I think, and we've talked about before that NFTs are an important asset class that needs to be incorporated into DeFi. And so, yeah, would love to work with you guys on figuring out how to, get Osmosis be an early adopter of a lot of this Inter NFT stuff.
Absolutely, Sunny. I think we are in the Telegram group.
Can I ask a
Would love
question
to
to
get in
Sunny?
touch.
Wait, so Travis, you have a question?
Yeah,
Go
I'm
for it.
currently educating people using Osmosis as DeFi 101, because a lot of people kind of hear about internet and like whatever the buzz is, they talk about it, and like a lot of I guess the Thorchain is like hot on the list these days. So like people that are completely new to crypto industry are talking about Thorchain, and they're getting completely lost in it because it's not as, I mean, it's more complex. And so I kind of steered them towards Osmos and say, okay, start from here. It's much easier. UI, I think UI UX is a big factor. And so people could kind of ease into understanding the basics of DeFi. And I was wondering if because currently what I'm doing is giving them, say, 100 UST or 10 UST, however, and then so within a Kepler wallet, and then and teaching them how to connect Kepler wallet to Osmosis and kind of begin their learning process. And I was wondering, because I don't know too much about what Ion token is doing. I was wondering if Osmosis has some sort of education aspect to it, where is there a way that I could see some of those documents online where it's easier for people that are just beginning to understand DeFi?
Yeah, so the Osmosis Support Lab, which is a community pool funded initiative, but they actually have a new support site coming up soon, which is, while it has support for like Q&A, like being able to talk to live support admins, but it also includes a series of tutorials and video demos and everything, sort of walking people through how to use Osmosis and like what Osmosis is doing. So I think I believe that site should be going live pretty soon. Like a lot of the video content is actually ready, and I think the first 2 videos are done. I think we're sort of waiting. One of the things is we are looking for a front end developer to help build out that front site for the support lab. So if anyone in the audience is interested, please reach out. But yeah, so we're definitely going to be working. The support team is working on a lot more of this sort of like educational content.
Yeah, that's coming, Travis, in a big way. It's just, like Selene said, I guess there's a job opportunity there. If somebody is a front end developer, hit up, I guess, the support lab or the Osmosis team.
Sweet.
Should we? Go ahead.
I was just say, yeah, I think unless there's any more questions, I don't know if Alp's mic is working yet, but if not, we can. Thank you, Guy, for joining us. I don't know, Guy, do you have anything else you want to end with?
Yeah, I just want to, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. This is a great space, by the way. The only thing I'd like to say before we finish is to let people know to watch out for the Legend airdrop to Osmo holders for the LBP event in a few weeks. And one other thing that I wanna put on people's radar is that we as Legend, we would like to go on chain with a proposal on Osmosis to ask for a reward matching for when the pools come. So, we would appreciate anyone's feedback on that proposal when it comes live. I think we'll do that in the next few days. Any feedback, and obviously vote in favor or against, depending on how you feel. We're trying to make things as helpful and beneficial for the Osmosis community as we can.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for joining us, Guy.
Thanks for having me.
Sweet. Thank you guys all for listening in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Okay, sounds good. Catch y'all on the next updates.
Bye.
Bye.